How did you get into guitar, man? Like, tell us about how you got into music. When did it start for you?
It's funny because when I was at primary school or elementary school, that's what you would call it. I always had this I would always like have daydreams of like playing guitar. Like I would be listening to like Guns N' Roses or like Alice Cooper, and like just imagining myself like maybe like standing up in the middle of class and just fucking playing the guitar solo or something. But like I just never thought that I could do that. I don't know why. I just never thought I could learn it. But yeah, when I went away to boarding school, and there was a guy at school who played guitar, and I was just like, I want to do that, and he showed me my first few chords and stuff, and then just went from there. We formed a band like instantly. As soon as I could play three chords, we formed a band.
First song?
First song was a song I wrote called "I Just Want Him to Die."
Was this a death metal band?
Ballad.
It sounded like Oasis, and it was three chords, and it was just about how much I hated this other kid. That
Hear Liam just whining that fucking line out in the song.
That's hilarious.
And but yeah, we just started playing. We were playing Nirvana covers, and
Nice,
but yeah, and so yeah, and then because like our music, because when I first started listening, because yeah, so basically, I tell this story all the time because it's quite a funny story, because before I discovered like rock music, I had basically like I just listened to like anything on the radio. Like it was just I had this like box of cassette tapes that was just a whole mix of like there was like pop music, like chart music, dance music. And basically when I started listening to the first bands that I got introduced to, which were Metallica, Nirvana, and the Wild Hearts. They were like the three big ones.
Wild Hearts.
Oh, they're kind of a cult band. They're like from the UK. They're awesome. They're huge in Japan.
Oh, nice.
So basically when I heard this stuff, I was just like I kind of looked at my box of tapes, and I was just like, this is actual garbage. And I just threw the whole thing away because I was like no, this is actual garbage, like, and then
you don't go back and listen to that stuff? You don't like it anymore? Or it's just
not that stuff, but like I do like, there's some pop stuff, dance stuff that I used to like the Prodigy. I liked the Prodigy before I got into rock music, and I still like the Prodigy.
I haven't heard that mentioned in a long time. I remember Prodigy.
Yeah. Also some rap stuff, like Cypress Hill. I love Cypress Hill as well.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like cool. a little guy. But yeah, so eventually, it sort of started from like grunge music, and then progressively, like, so the first Metallica stuff I got into was like the 90s stuff, like the Load Reload era. So like I absolutely love that like period of Metallica, because that they introduced me to like hard rock, because like those albums are like, they're not really metal, they're kind of like a mix between metal and hard rock.
Underrated, right? Load and Reload.
Completely underrated.
Exactly.
It took me 20 years to appreciate those records. I fucking hated them when they came out, and I was so disappointed. I'm like, what is this crap?
But that's the thing, if there was any other band, if another band had brought out that album, it would have been a classic.
I said the exact same thing. Yeah. I'm like, even me knowing, huge Metallica fan, and I'm like, if this was a different band and they came out with this shit, it'd be great. But
yeah,
because
it's like country metal. It's such a unique thing.
People forget though, there was really a lot of hits. There was a lot of hits on those albums.
Yeah,
that's such an interesting phenomenon.
They made a good move, because if they would have kept doing the thrash shit, they would have.
Yeah, they would have died out.
Yeah.
So I started going backwards. I sort of like the head, like when I started getting into heavier music, it was kind of like I was just backtracking through Metallica's catalog until the stuff didn't. So basically, like when I first started listening to Metallica, like if I'd listened to like something off of the Black Album, I would have thought that's too heavy.
Wow.
For me. But then all of a sudden that stuff is great. And then the stuff off Injustice for All, and like bands like Pantera, that was too heavy. And but then I would get into them, and then it would just like progress until I was listening to like death metal and stuff. So
and now that music is like light.
Yeah, it's pretty light. Yeah,
it's a lot easier to figure out some of that shit than
I remember thinking like Pantera was like the heaviest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like
it was.
like there was nothing heavier than Pantera. So yeah.
I remember when I got assimilated to screaming, like having screaming in it, it was all that remains of Avenged Sevenfold that got me into that. Or no, it started off with Limp Bizkit actually, $3 Bill, y'all, because I never heard anybody just yell. You know, like, because I listened to Metallica and all that stuff, and Limp Bizkit got me into death metal, which is weird, kind of weird art.
That's crazy.
Because I remember I didn't like it at first. I listened to $3 Bill, y'all. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Now it ended up being one of my favorites back then. And then I listened to Korn, and it got heavier and heavier after that, which was hilarious.
I was listening to Pantera, Far Beyond Driven, right, and that was the heaviest thing I ever heard in my life, heaviest thing ever. And then I walk into Karma Music. My buddy who worked there, he's like, you gotta check this band out. You're not gonna believe it. He puts on Korn. I'm like, fucking Korn? It's a stupid fucking man. And then it plays the first track.
The first album.
Ding, 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 that big bass drop. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like that doesn't belong in metal, you know? And then, are you ready? It's just the heaviest thing I ever heard in my life. And then he's like, just wait, listen to how pissed off he gets. I'm like, this dude is so mad. It's so fucking cool. And it's the heaviest thing. It was literally 2 weeks before I realized it wasn't a goddamn guitar solo. I'm like,
what? You're like, there's no guitar solo, and I liked it.
Yeah, dude, seriously. I'm like, holy shit, man. That used to be what I used to wait for.
Yeah, because they were like
solo, and I didn't even care.
I mean, they were tuning the 7-string down.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It was just
so like they were like drop D'ing the 7-string, right? Yeah.
It was like sub heavy. It was just like Jesus.
So you started your
that was the cool.
I was gonna say, so you started your first band and you're on your guitar journey. What happens next, man?
Yeah, so the guitar, so basically, so we started, so I was like 14 at this point. So when I started playing guitar, I was 14. Started my first band at 14. And then we played all the way through school. I had a really awesome guitar teacher as well, who was, he just let us learn whatever we wanted to learn. He actually had a PhD in guitar. He was an actual guitar doctor.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, I've never met anyone else that's had that.
He's got a stethoscope, checks to make sure all the wiring is working right.
Yeah, right.
I think we all need to go get our PhD in guitar. That would be badass. Imagine.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
That'd be a hack.
Dr. Guitar.
And it's funny because he actually tried to get me into Dream Theater at that point. And he was like, listen to this album, like the Metropolis Part 2 one, like the rock opera. And I couldn't get into it at that time. It took me like 20 years to get into Dream Theater.
Nice.
So yeah, and I think one of the big, I guess, and I was always way more into playing rhythm guitar because I looked up to Metallica so much, and our band was like we had the same like structure. It was like me on vocals, rhythm guitar, someone else playing lead, bass, drums. So I just wanted to be James Hetfield. I used to like get my stepdad to like extend my guitar strap so that I could have my guitar like pretty much like at my knees. The most like I got so used to playing that way that like and then when I started getting into more lead, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to like lift my guitar back up because I can't like play like tapping solos at my knees.
Just put your hand on top of the neck.
Some facial hair. Get like
yeah, basically. So I remember playing along to the first Metallica, like so Kill 'Em All. I would like just learn the songs by ear and just play along. That's how I sort of developed like my sort of that's how I developed my rhythm like for metal music, I guess, because I would just literally play that album from start to finish, like all the rhythm. Yeah, and then basically like it was just like after I left school, it was just like band after band after band, and all sorts of different styles. I was in a stoner rock band, I was in like a metal band, I was in an acoustic folk band. I was just so much stuff.
Did you say stoner rock?
Stoner rock, yeah. I was actually I was just the singer in that band. I didn't even play guitar in that
really
band. Yeah, it didn't last long. like no. two months maybe.
Wow.
We were called the Kings of Oblivion.
That's a badass name.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool name, man. Cool name. And yeah, so basically when I moved, so basically I was living in Glasgow, which is like one of the major cities in Scotland. I moved back because I'm here, which is like in the country. And yeah, so no band. So yeah, basically like I thought I'll just start playing songs on I'll just start covering songs and just as a way of like keeping my guitar, trying to push my guitar playing. And that's how it started really. And then I didn't actually learn how to play lead guitar until I started YouTube. And then
when did you start YouTube?
It was like 5 years ago, maybe.
Oh wow,
it's been a while. Dang. Yeah, it's been a while.
So you haven't been dabbling with lead too long then?
No, not really. I wish I could go back and like tell my younger self like learn some lead stuff, because like you'll want to do that later in life. You're not going to be James Hetfield. You should learn some other stuff. So, and I say this as well, but it's another reason why I identify so much with Bandmate is because Konami, I feel at the time that I was in the early Bandmate days, like the stuff she was playing wasn't super far outside of what I could do, so like it was a good point to try and get to. And I feel like she's always been like that, because she's always getting better, like with every release. So I'm trying to,
keep up.
And I guess like I have to a point, because my lead playing has got so much better.
Dude, yeah, you've come a long way in 5 years.
Yeah.
It took me like.
I also had to completely change my picking style, because like when I before I started playing lead guitar, like I would hold my pick with 3 fingers. Like that's just the way I always did it. But I found that really difficult for like playing really fast, like lead stuff. Doing the 2-finger thing was like much easier, so I had to like relearn how to hold a pick.
Which like trying to do that right.
That took a while.
I know a guitar. It's funny you mentioned the 2-finger thing. I wonder if that just starts at a young age because our hands are smaller, and then you end up doing that. Because I knew another guitarist that did the same thing. He would do he did two fingers for the longest time. Also,
I've never seen anyone do that.
Yeah, like I actually found this out fairly recently, but James Hetfield actually holds a pick with his thumb and 2 fingers. And like I never knew that. Like that was just a coincidence, I guess.
That's some powerful downstroking.
Yeah. So like so now I've it took a long time, but I'm fairly comfortable now that I don't have to think about it. I can just pick up a pick and I just automatically hold it between like my thumb and like first finger. So, but that took a while to break that habit, because that was literally like, like, I don't know, almost 20 years of like playing it with that way and then having to change.
So that Les Paul Custom 68 reissue, was that given to you when you were 14? Is that when you got that guitar?
No.
Or when did you get that one?
I got that one in, I think it was 2000. No, it was in 2002. I'm just trying to think. It must have been 2002. I got that guitar. Yeah. Because it was like a Wayne's World thing. Have you seen Wayne's World?
Yeah.
Where he would like go into the record store and like look at the Fender.
Yes.
And he'd be like, "It will be mine."
Excalibur.
Yeah, basically, I would always go into this music shop in Glasgow, and it would be hanging. It was like always hanging on the wall, like this. There was literally no other like Les Paul Customs in the shop at all. It was just this one, and it was just so beautiful. I was just like, "It will be mine."
For those who
no stairway.
For those who don't know, do you want to tell a story about the Les Paul?
Do you mean my Les Paul or just like...
Yeah, the Les Paul 68.
The history of the Les Paul.
Yeah, the history.
Yeah,
well, no, about like how you got it and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically the story. This is basically it. So it was this guitar that I'd seen in the store, and luckily I managed to, well, kind of bittersweet, but like my grandma died, but she left me like a little inheritance, and basically I could afford the guitar, so I went in and bought it. I was just like, it's and look, it was actually like, it was down in price when I went to buy it, and it was still like, it was, it wasn't cheap, because it was one of those like historic, so basically they made them look as if they were from 68, but it was obviously a new guitar, but like the pickups were aged.
The nitro finish where it was all kind of already.
Yeah, I was so naive at the time because I didn't even realize that that's what they'd done, and like I tried to clean the pickups at one point, and then like quickly realized that like, no, they're supposed to be like this.
Oh shit!
I was like, oh my god. But yeah, that guitar has been like, as when I got that guitar, I used it. I played it live so much. I've gigged so many gigs with it. It's got like it's actually got like a chip in the 12th fret because I dropped it once like at a show. I was like setting the mic up and it just went
in the wood.
Yeah, like on the fretboard, but it's weird because you can see the chip, but you can't feel it. It's so weird. Nice. But yeah, it literally just landed face down on my pedal board.
Oh my god!
Oh god!
I was just scary.
Did you hate when that happens? The strap just gives out of nowhere.
Heartbreaking. So yeah, after that, I just always used. That was my lesson to use strap locks.
Yeah.
But the first guitar I got was the Telecaster that I always used. Like that was my first proper electric guitar, nice. Which I still use on a regular basis. I love that guitar, so they're like the two ones that have been with me the longest, I guess.
That's awesome. Hey, how many guitars do you have, man? Because I know you were like selling off a few of them not too long ago.
I didn't. I've had there's been times where I've had more than what I have now, but I have I have the Telecaster, the Les Paul, the V there, the Gibson, and I have the Baby Metal ESP.
It's funny.
It's the 7-string.
It's weird because I don't know a lot of Gibson fans. So like you're the first one. Like I've known people that like Gibson guitars, that like them, but they never go out and say that's my favorite brand. So you're like the first person I've heard actually say I love Gibson, and I was like, what?
I love Gibson.
If you would have known me as a teenager, I was obsessed with Gibsons.
Oh,
when
really?
I finally got a Gibson. It was just the $600 faded SG. But I would like lay in bed holding it and just stare at it. It was like
I think I've played a Gibson like once.
Really? Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, they're always so fucking expensive. I'm like, I'm never gonna afford that. My $150 guitar is just good enough. I picked up one time and I'm like, this does not feel like it's worth 8 times as much as that one.
Yeah, I was the same with the PRS. Like I tried like a $4.5 grand PRS in the store, and I was like, this doesn't feel like an expensive guitar to me at all. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it just depends on the guitar. But I just feel like with Gibson that, everyone's different. Every guitarist just like has that guitar that they resonate with, and
it makes you feel like you can play better, right? Like when you pick it up, you play it, like you said in your video, it inspires you to write and stuff. Those are the best guitars.
Telly's like that, man. As much as I love my PRS, when I pick up that Telly, I'm like, oh yeah.
It's you said it, Alan. It's the inspiration for me. Like it's some guitars will pick up and it's just they're just not fun to play. And some you just pick up and the first thing that comes out is awesome. It's a lot of the stuff I write just comes from like literally picking up the guitar and like whatever comes out in the first 5 minutes. Yeah, it's like, oh, that's cool. Record it.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back to it like a month later and develop it into a song.
That's so interesting. Like just the different feels that different styles of guitar give you, because it's true. Like depending on what style of guitar I pick up, it inspires a different style of playing. Because like I grew up playing this old Squender.
Wow, Squire. Tell me more.
Squire.
That's what I'm gonna call him from now on. What is that?
My old
Squender?
Squender Stratocaster.
That's a better name, to be honest. I like that name.
Which, like it was a great guitar for playing a Strat, but when I first played the SG with the fixed bridge, and it's just kind of more compact, more solid, and you can do chuggy like palm muted stuff so much easier than on a Strat. And it was just like a completely different experience, and it inspired a completely different style of playing. It's so interesting.
It happens like that. I've talked about it before, but my yellow Ibanez, it's like much cheaper than my other guitars, but I always go back to play that one every time. The PRS will inspire me to play leads and stuff for some reason. I pick up the PRS. I love playing solos on it, but I always go back to writing on that yellow Ibanez, which is so funny, so weird. It's not, and like the price difference between those two guitars is drastically different.
I don't know many people that have yellow guitars either. That's just it.
Hey,
wants a yellow guitar.
I like weird. I like weird colors. That's why I have purple. I have a yellow. I used to have a neon green. Like so.
Nice.
I think my guitar teacher that was talking about the Doctor, his guitar was an Ibanez, and it was like it was like neon yellow and pink. It was a crazy color. He was very much a child of the a guitarist of the 80s. That guy.
Yeah.
For more Gaijin goodies like you just saw, be sure to subscribe to the Gaijin Guys podcast and turn on all notifications to be part of the live stream every Sunday. You can also find us wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, etc. You can find even more exclusive content and reactions on our Patreon, patreon.com/Gaijin Guys. I'll see you there. Adios.